following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing. It's the second part of our treble header here tonight on Racebot TV, on the iRacing Esports Network, and Sunday night primetime. This in itself, however, is a double header as we welcome you to Twin Ring Motegi and welcome you to the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation. Tonight's race will be one of 2 halves. We'll have an 8-lap sprint out to start off. That'll be around the east course here at Twin Ring Motegi before we go to the oval, the egg-shaped oval that, of course, in 2008 gave Danica Patrick her first and only win in IndyCar. So, that is the scene that we have for today. Track conditions for our first race are as follows. 21 degrees Celsius, it's a little bit humid, and wind speeds of 8 kilometers an hour. However, clear skies out there as the sun begins to set. Wilvinson and Lorenzo Bunda stepping in for Jake Sperry here tonight. Lorenzo, hello.
Hello, Will. How are you doing, sir?
I'm not too bad, as we've got ourselves 2K action. Qualifying is already underway as we put the lap times up then on your screen. Johnny Gindy right now has himself an advantage. 3 drivers within 1/10 of a second.
Precisely, and the gap of the whole field for the 1 second gap is around the first to 7, well, actually more than that, the 26th place. So really close this gap on the entire field, but that has been going since practice. But one of the things that reminds me of this layout, this is the longer layout of the sub layouts that Motegi has. It reminds me a little bit of Sonoma, a little bit slower, but still twisty.
Yeah, as there is a look then at Tran. We're on board of him right now. Let's actually put that track graphic back up for you. As you notice that we don't do turn number 1. or turn number 2. And we kind of miss out that chicane, that kind of Mickey Mouse chicane at the end of the track. Instead, also, we start this race on the back straightaway here, Lorenzo. That means that this track has got a very different feel to it over that first sector.
Yeah, total different feel from the first sector. You go right down the hill into a 90 near the next to 90 degree, not a 90 degree right hand turn, and then you go into a twisty ass right left section, and then again into another right left section. And this is the most dangerous part of the track because the cars are going to be clustered up trying to fight for positions, and touching over here, it's basically a dangerous place, and getting clustered in the middle of the track can mean a big one inbound at any moment. Whoa.
So, as it stands, Johnny Guindy has himself the qualifying lead. Most drivers now have done their laps. Johnny Guindy leads by Justin Tipton over 44 1,000ths of a second. Third place, Fahim Atanides. Fourth place, Ade Copa Lopez. Greg Zeet in fifth. Andrew Pecori in sixth. Brian Lockwood in seventh. Borja Zarzo eighth. Diego Francisco in ninth. And Felipe Barber has just moved himself into the top 10 as he's on to another lap here, Lorenzo.
Yeah, and Felipe Barber needs a good result over here at the very first race, because the oval is basically a 50-50. You're going to be decided on the final laps, and for Barber, which right now is a leader champ, is the runner-up right now, 30 points behind Ade Coba Lopez. He needs at least a good result to close that gap for the second part of this race.
Yeah, and Ade Copa Lopez has actually just gone fastest. He's now 19,000ths of a second ahead of Johnny Guindy. So Copa Lopez, in the last couple of minutes of qualifying, moved himself to the top of the timing sheets there, Lorenzo.
Yeah, and right now he's actually only 2900ths of a second from Johnny Guindy, and being in the lead over here is going to give him a big advantage, because he's not going to be not fighting for position, but he's not going to be under pressure like Labor is going to be at the very start of the race. Starting in the middle of the pack is not going to be good for you. You need to be at least in the front. Of course, being in the front is good, but if you can get an advantage in the first 2 laps to open up that gap, you might just have the race on your back.
Felipe Barber past the start-finish line. What can he do? Lap number 2. Answer's going to be a slower lap then. 1:35 by him. Not good enough to move himself up through the field. Qualifying is over. Let's have a look at your starting grid for this, the first one doubleheader here in the 2K World Cup. Well, there's that grid coming up now on your screen. Ade Copa Lopez at the end of qualifying gets himself pole position by 2/100ths of a second over Johnny Guindy. Justin Tipton in third. Fahim Atanides on the outside of that second row of the grid. Greg Zeet in fifth. Andrew Pecori in sixth. Brian Lockwood, Borja Zarzo, they are P7 and P8. Then Diego Francisco, Felipe Barber round out your top 10. Now, interestingly today, Lorenzo, after you've done this 8-lap event, they will go to the oval. We'll have ourselves reverse grid and all that sort of jazz. However, you got to get yourself a good run here. It's a short race, and a safety car could mean early moves are going to be important.
Yeah, it's going to be very important, and you need to make moves. Basically, this is a sprint race. This is very similar to what the skip barbers on the official races are, so you need to be very mobile and very active so you can move up the field and have a good result.
Yep. The Colts have lost. I'm not happy anymore. But it's 41 drivers here today for this, the 2K World Cup, presented by DES Simulation, the official partner of the 2K World Cup. And don't forget, later on tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have got ourselves more action. It will be the final round of the Indy Elite Series. It will be 500 miles. It will be Michigan, and it will be here live on the iRacing Esports Network, which you can subscribe to right now. Drivers are lined up on the starting grid, getting themselves ready to go racing. Welcome to the second part then of our treble header here on RaceSpot TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. We're glad that you are with us. It's a nice autumnal evening here at Twin Ring Motegi. The drivers are lined up. A couple of drivers, well, they're not even down at the final corner. So for them, it's going to be a hard run down in towards turn number 1. The lights will go on top of the iRacing gantry. Lights go on. We will get ourselves racing now. 41 drivers are underway as they storm down towards turn number 1 and sweeping to the right-hand side of the racetrack. That'll be Adecopa Lopez as they come down into that first corner for the first time. Alongside him, we're going to have ourselves Johnny Guindy. Looking to the outside, in towards that first corner, Lorenzo.
Yeah, Johnny Guindy already trying to look for the first play, just couldn't do it. Didn't have the run enough to try to make a move on Adecopa Lopez. Had to back off, but Justin Tipton right now trying to pressure for him and Antoniades for third place, and he's going to get it.
Yeah, as we had a little bit of a crash down in the mid-pack of your field. I think they've all just about managed to get through that one without too many incidents. We haven't had a couple of drivers though fall well down the field, and James McGriffey is already out of this event, but Johnny Guindy hounding right now onto the rear of Adecopa Lopez as they work themselves right now. Look at these two drivers, they're so close together. 8 laps, you say, sprint-like race here, as behind, you've also got yourself Justin Tipton for Antoniades. They kind of where they started here today, but side-by-side racing going on behind. That is down in your pack right now, as you got yourself Diego Francisco on board of him, as just behind, he's got himself 2 wide, 3 wide racing, and contact there, as we got 2 drivers off. That is going to be Brian Duell and Jordi Lopez Jr.
Yeah, and right now, another bad one is also Mr. Philip Leiber. Got a very bad start, backed up 11 positions back on the field, and he's got to make all the way back. So Leiber, 7 laps to go. He has a whole field to make it through that damage he has caused.
Yeah, so it's a bad start there for Philippe Leiber. It's him, not Jordi Lopez Jr. that was involved in that one. A horrible start for Philippe Leiber. Let's see if we get ourselves a second look at this one. Let's see if we've got it right now queued up for you. This is the driver of Philippe Leiber, and you can see he's all the way down in P number 18 in your field. They were going 3 wide into that right-hander, and Philippe Leiber at the end of lap number 1 has got damage to his race car. That is not what you would have wanted, because Leiber, of course, often is a championship contender in this series, but out front, Adecopa Lopez is out of this event. What's happened to Adecopa Lopez?
Let's take a look on.
He's had a huge crash. A huge crash.
Wow, even flipped his car over, tried to defend from Johnny Guindy, just got touched, and then couldn't make it back on the track safely, and then became victim of the pileup. Yeah,
let's have one more look. So this is in towards turn number 1. This is the first incident there. Johnny Guindy turns around Adecopa Lopez, and then Copa Lopez, broken suspension, just spears across the track. Out he goes from the race lead. Adecopa Lopez is out.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see if there's going to be any sort of a punishment from the race stewards, because this is a kind of a battle that, of course, you make mistakes, but I'm really interested to see what the stewards will say about this one.
Well, we've often seen in the 2K World Cup that we do have a hard line taken against overly aggressive driving, and as a consequence of this, it basically means that Adecopa Lopez is not only going to get hit once, he's going to get hit twice as well, because of course after this race we'll head ourselves over to the Oval and for a second race here today. But Johnny Guindy leads this event. We're on board right now with Andrew Picorio, and get this, Andrew already is, well, he's behind, and just have a look at the gap. It's about 1 second right now behind Johnny Guindy. Guindy can actually pull away right now in this sprint race, and there's nothing that Picorio can do unless he gets a bit of help from drivers behind him. Borges Arze, Greg Seitz, Diego Francisco. But this field is completely spread out now.
Yeah, completely spread out. And one more thing, I was looking over here at the replay. Fahim Antoniades has crashed, also broken suspension. So he's probably out. Yeah, he's out of this race as well.
Replay there for on board with Fahim. This was down in towards the final corner, which is where we're going to start looking on board of him. But you can see that suspension. Oh my word, yeah, that car is completely toast. Fahim into the Armco barrier, but that started before there, Lorenzo, and Fahim is out of this event.
Yeah, he's probably going to use the fast repair, but for him, in terms of race and championship standings, is going to be quite a big damage, so he's out. If he makes it back, it's just to make positions up for the oval race.
Yeah, so here's a replay again on board of Fahim Atanidas. This was coming down into that left-hander. You can just see there's absolutely no steering for that car at all. Broken suspension, and that's going to be a huge thing for him because he's been so impressive on Monday Night Skippies over the last couple of seasons, but he still has bad luck on Sunday Night Skippies when he can't often seem to get the moves complete. On board right now, Diego Francisco. He runs himself in the 4th place on track right now as he works through that right-hander underneath the bridge, the oval that will go to later on today. As I wanted to show the movers and shakers in this event so far today, because we've had a lot of people go up and go down. Borges Arzo up 5 places into a podium position. We've had Jordi Lopez Jr. up 10 places right now, with Kurt Crum up 12 places, but none of your top 3 are in the position where they started. Guindy at 1 place, Mercurio up 4, Borges Arzo up 5.
Yeah, and in terms of the standings, if we are to look at the top 3, the only one that's still in this top 10 is actually Brian Lockwood, which right now is the 6th place, actually. I meant to say 16, but it's actually 6th. Just 1 spot up from his initial position. So for him, in terms of championship, he could actually gain some points and close that gap. Right now, he's only 14 points behind Barber, and he's also he's 14 from 34 from Jacobo Lopez. So this race, if he keeps going like this, is going to be good for him.
Yeah, he's got a Boeing right behind him, Simon Edwards, and a 747 machine as they come through the S's section of the track once again. These S's are a lot more complicated than people give credit for, Lorenzo. Be it on the GP track, be it on the East track, they are really hard.
Yeah, they are probably one of the hardest S sequences you can have in any kind of track. Motegi is very widely known to be a track that kills tires. And because of these twisty sections, you need to be very consistent and very fast because they do not give you an edge. If you make any mistake whatsoever, you're probably going to end up in the tire barrier or in the scent trap, as Simon Edwards probably losing a spot to, if I'm not mistaken, that is Paul Malocas. Yeah, he just lost a 7th spot to Paul Malocas, and probably going to lose 1 more to Jordi Lopez.
Yep, so a bad afternoon so far for Simon Edwards, but of course he's got to remember the big picture here as we go on board then with Simon Edwards in towards turn number, or the final corner even, on track. That long sweeping hairpin right-hander, number 186 machine there of Jordi Lopez Jr. will go past. Brian Dewell is right behind in that positive sim racing machine as they come towards turn number 1 again, and here comes Edwards looking now back to the outside over Jordi Lopez Jr. He has the outside line works better here at Motegi, but Edwards turn around.
Yeah, I think Simon just tried to give some room to Jordi, but not enough room. They were basically wheel to wheel into turn 1, and that turn 1 is very tight, very tight, nearly 90-degree turn. So Simon got the wrong end of it and gave it a little bit of a spin, kept himself on track, but lost a lot of positions.
Well, we were joking before we came on air that a lot of these people will be hoping to get a good result here because they won't enjoy the oval. All of a sudden, that one's changed. But also, look out front right now. This cannot be a minute and 54 seconds. Our timing screen just got itself a little bit messed up, actually. Johnny Guindy has got himself a bit of problems right now because Borges Arzo is right behind him and Andrew Mercurio is right behind as well. Johnny Guindy, who had over a 1-second lead, that's been clawed down to absolutely nothing, and it's a bit of a dive there by Borges Arzo into the left-hander, but Guindy all of a sudden under immense pressure.
Yeah, he's going to have to hold up for this next few laps, this immense pressure that Borges is doing. Borges with the more aggressive lines, You could have seen though in the previous turn, third to last turn, the line that Guinea was doing, he was doing open and then inside for better speed on the exit, whereas Borja just went into the inside for maximum entry, then a little bit slower exit, but you can see the lines being played on over here. It's very interesting to see.
Yeah, and Pecoria then through the right-hander. This is normally where you'd flick it to the left if you're on the Grand Prix layout. Instead, we go to the right. This track, of course, was developed in terms of getting Honda into IndyCar racing, which is why they had themselves both the road course as well as the oval, Lorenzo. Because back, of course, when they joined IndyCar, it was a case of you had to be, as is now, a specialist on all forms of tracks, as Pecoria is still holding the outside line underneath the bridge. Held the outside line for that sweep into what is normally turn number 5. And he actually might be lucky here, because if we stay alongside him, have the inside into the next corner.
Yeah, right now Andrew is going to have the upper hand into this first left-hander, but the right hand is not going to work for him very well. As you can see, Greg Sykes also closing the gap on Precario. He might even have a look on the next turn, but he's having a look. He's actually on the outside, but he's not going to try the open over, and that allows Diogo Francisco. So very hectic battle for the podium and also for top 5 here in this race.
Yeah, it is a sprint race with sprint race feel to it. We are already coming down to the final lap of this event. There is the driver of Johnny Guindy, but behind it is all going on as they head towards turn number 1. Greg Zeet on board of him, and Pecoria, Borgesato, they are side by side ahead as they come down in towards turn number 1. Winner of that battle looks as though it might well be Greg Zeet, but look at how close it is, and Zeet might get himself down, trying to thread the needle, and it is Borgesato who holds on to second place.
Yeah, Borja with a very good move in the inside. Lost a little bit of time to allow Greg Zeet to come up and try to duel with them, but really great battle. And one of the people that actually thinking, one of these guys who were actually thinking for this battle, Johnny Guinea, he's pulling away with the lead once again.
Yeah, it's still showing him a minute 54 ahead of competition. That is not the way it actually is. We guarantee that. There's no way that anyone can ever get a minute 54. So a little bit of issue with our timing and scoring system. We do apologise for that, but Borgesato in second place and Pecorio running in third place behind. We have got side by side. This is Brian Lockwood then. He's been going at it with Diego Francisco and Paul Malocas. Lockwood turned around, big crash.
Yeah, big crash, and Lockwood with the broken suspension, losing a lot of position as well, boys. The top 3 basically out of contention in terms of points, so this race has been on 420.
Yep, but out the final corner, Johnny Guindy is going to win the sprint race here at Twin Ring Motegi. Johnny Guindy wins by 1 second over Borgesato. I want to go back and I want to have another look at this Brian Lockwood incident. However, let's see how this one all started. Let's have a look then by our aerial coverage brought to you by And1 Design. Let's hope we can get a good look as they come down into the corner, and that's where the incident's going to start happening, right about here, just after they come underneath the oval. The 2 drivers, they're going to get very close to the right-hander, then into the left-hander for normal turn 6, and that is where we're going to see the crash right about now into the right-hander for turn number 7, and that's where you're going to see Brian Lockwood just getting turned around, and from then, Lockwood basically is just going to get rammed, pushed ironically back in the right direction, but for Lockwood, that's a horrible end to his motor race.
Yeah, that's a horrible end to his race. I don't know how that is going to affect him with the point standing, but you can see that Brian actually did a very good first lag on the left side, but Malocas just went too wide and actually into the grass end trap, and there's nothing he can do actually in terms of grip on the right turn, and Brian just thought he had enough room to give, but miscalculated a little bit, and that crash happened.
Yeah, let's have a look then at your final results from this, our sprint race here in the 2K World Cup. Johnny Guindy gets himself the victory by 1.8 seconds over Borgesazo. It was close in the last 3 laps, but then Johnny Guindy stretches legs as those issues behind. Andrew Picorio rounds out your podium. Greg Seats in 4th, and Diego Francisco in P number 5. Paul Malocas had an incident, a battle going on with Brian Lockwood, Jorge Lopez Jr. in 7th, Brian Dewell in 8th, Martin Cruz in 9th, and Simon Edwards rounds out your top 10. As the rest of the results come up for you on your screen right now, Lorenzo, all I can say is that was a crazy one.
Yeah, this was an eventful race full of battles and fortunately some crashes here and there, but good battles for the top 5 were marked by Borgesazo, Andrew Picario, Greg Seats, and Diogo Francisco. Really good battles, and I'm really interested to see how the oval is going to handle these cars. We know the Skippies are not the fastest cars, and they have the tendency to break the engines under high temps, so the oval is going to be an eventful one also, I believe.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break here on Racesport TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. We'll be back with more in a few minutes' time. The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing. Welcome back then to the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation. Got a chance to chat with Felipe Burr. Did not have himself a good race number 1. Only P number 11. Felipe, what happened?
I got a bad qualifying. I was too nervous, and then I had a slowdown penalty on the first lap, so I had to let about 20 cars passed. And then at that time I was just hoping to be in the top 20 and so I can start up front for the next race.
Well, the oval is going to be a very different beast to what we've seen here on the road course. It's a track, however, that can often create a couple of interesting situations. How do you think it's going to be for you?
I look forward to it. I really like ovals with the Skippy. A lot of people don't, but it's growing on a lot of people, and the racing is going to be intense. We have more than 40 cars, no cautions, and we could see 6 wide or 7 wide. The track is extremely wide, and the Skippies are so narrow, so that's going to be fun.
Turn number 1 and 2 is a very different beast from turn number 3 and 4. How do you think that's going to affect the driving here today?
Well, turn number 1 is not really a turn in the Skippy. You can just go full throttle, hug the inside line. But the last turn is you need a downshift even. So there you could see different lines up there. People taking a high line and then diving down the inside to make a pass on the front stretch. So it could be we could see some very interesting stuff.
Well, thank you very much there, Felipe Burr. Lorenzo, we're going to head ourselves to the oval in just a couple of moments' time. But what Felipe said is very similar to the way the IndyCar drivers take twin ring Motegi. I'll get it out there. Third time of asking. However, it's just a little bit slower.
Yeah, it's a little bit slower. Of course, as I said, the speed of the Skippies do not compare to Indy cars whatsoever. You see Indy cars going like 300 kilometers per hour in twin ring Motegi on the oval. And if they went on the road track, would be close to that. I think 260, 270, maybe down the straight. But it's gonna be very interesting. A very interesting race. I think, as Felipe said, is gonna be like 6-5 wide, maybe on the straight, and then maybe 4 wide into turn 1. So it's gonna be a very interesting race in terms of battles and how, and also strategies at some point. Because remember, these Skippies have 40% of their tank. So I think we might see at least 2, maybe 3 sets of pit stops. So strategy over here is going to be key as well.
It will be. We're going to head over to that race next.
3, 2, 1.
Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulator test driver.
So it's 1.4 behind.
This opportunity is huge.
That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Let's go race.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing. It's the second part of our doubleheader that makes up our treble header here on RaceBot TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. This is now the oval side of the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation. We've gone from the road course to the oval here at Motegi and Lorenzo. Yes. This is the track where Danica Patrick won her one and only IndyCar race here. And boys, move over. The ladies coming through. Danica Patrick wins at Twin Wing Motegi.
Yeah, and that cements her as probably one of the fewest women that actually won an oval, if not the only woman who won an oval, and one of the top women in racing today, because there are other women like Catherine Legg, Christine Nielsen, but she's right on top with these women as well. Well, we are into the oval, a very interesting race with the skippies. As we mentioned before, it's going to be 4, maybe 5 wide into turn 1, maybe 4 wide right in the middle of it. So strategies, keeping your car clean, as said, no cautions. This is going to be a very interesting race.
It is, and this is the reason why. Because the track temperature has gone up, there is no humidity, it's clear skies, and there is a lot of wind right now. 30-mile-an-hour wind on track, Lorenzo. All this basically means is pandemonium.
Yeah, it's gonna be pandemonium. 48 kilometers per hour, wind southeast. The track temp, 50 degrees. It can't get any higher than this bowl. So even though these tires don't have wear, oh man, this is gonna be deathly one for the tires itself. They're going to take a beating.
Yeah, as I would like to give a shout out to Ismail TrackCams22.com, as well as Andreas Warner, as he's the official graphics partner of RaceSpot TV, as well as Simon Grossman, Aptioneering.com, and Nick Thisson for RaceSpot TV, live timing and scoring. So yeah, that road part is all over. Reverse grid for this second part for the top 20 only, Lorenzo. This is what Philippe Leber was talking about. He was hoping that he stayed inside the top 20. He did so, and that means he will be a part of the reverse grid.
Yeah, and for Philippe Leber, of course, he didn't want to have, he didn't have the first race that he could have won it, and he did won it. So I think this is the chance for him to make up all the points that he has lost. The gap he's probably lost, because we still need to see the standings and the reviews and all the other director stuff. But this is the golden chance for Leber. He's going to start in the front, so he needs to at least be in the front for most of the race and let the 10 final laps aside, and hopefully he can win it.
Don't forget, you can wrap out your week's worth of racing with Monday Night Skippies in support of the Calm Zone. That is tomorrow night. It'll be here. It'll be live on RaceSpot TV and streaming live on the iRacing Esports Network. Well, that is qualifying in the books for these drivers, as we are about to get ourselves ready for this, the over races. Let's have a look then at your starting grid. And the front row of your grid will be Anthony Cat then. Alongside him will be Miguel Garcia Sanchez. As row number 2, Jack Hobbs and Daniel Muth. Row 3, Brian Lockwood and Steve Fiacci. Row 4, Karthik Pai and Kurt Crum. And then row 5 will be Trent Tran and Philippe Leber. Row 6, Simon Edwards and Martin Cruz. Row 7, Brian Dewell and Jordi Lopez Jr. 8th row will go to Paul Malocas and Diego Francisco. Row 9, Greg Zeet and Vicorio. And row 10, Borges and Johnny Gindi. As the rest of the results will come up for you now, the drivers, Lorenzo, are on the grid.
Yeah, they are on the grid, and we have to look at the 35th spot into this race, where Adeko Lopez, the championship standings leader, is positioned right now. So he needs to make all the way from the back of the field and to the front in this 65 lap race if he wants to win this one. It's gonna be really tough for him.
So the drivers are now just rolling out onto the track. It'll be a 60-lap race here on the iRacing Esports Network, as these drivers will go side by side for the start. No cautions here today. So basically, these drivers have got to be ultra prepared and make sure they have got themselves their wits around them. Let's get you ready then for the start with a little bit of RaceSpot TV fan immersion. Well, already we got ourselves Sanchez looking to the outside in turn number 3. He looks to go to the race lead, but Anthony Cat says, no, I've got the inside line, and Cat will lead the end of lap number 1 there, Lorenzo.
Yeah, and you're going to see like 4 wide, nearly 5 wide, 6 wide, nearly. Yes, it's going to be 6 wide into turn 1. This is going to be very crazy. as Anthony Cat holds up to the lead, but there comes Critique Pie in taking the turn number 1 for the lead at the moment.
Carthrick Pie is looking strong as he is moved himself to the front of the field. There he is as we have a look from the rear of him. This is how close it is. Look at all the drivers. This looks more like a Michigan race. The Hanford device in the late 1990s. They are 4-5 wide down the back straightaway as they come down in towards. We got a little bit of a bubble, but they all stay on for the time being. This is the whole thing about this. Yep, there we are down the exit turn number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars involved. 7, 8 cars involved now.
Wow, and let's see. I want to see again on the replay what happened. I saw a big cluster on the middle of the pack, and one driver losing the control of his car and basically initiated the whole thing.
Yeah, we're having a look on board of Will Fisher as you can just see the incident ahead of him, and he just has to try and slow it all the way down, but he still then gets hit and almost put over the attenuator there. Let's see if we get another couple of lips. Let's have a look on board with Johnny Gindy, shall we? As he works himself. This is right in the middle of the pack, and you can just see he was right there in the middle of the accident.
Yeah, and he was one of the first guys who tried to avoid the accident but just couldn't do it. As you can see, the crash started right in front of him, and there's nothing he could do. He just went along for the ride.
Yeah, so we're just trying to get ourselves some cameras back, ladies and gentlemen. Just bear with us, please, for one moment. Okay, so here we are. Carthrick Pie is leading the way right now as they come down. Look how close this is again. Carthrick Pie, Turan. Live timing and scoring will be available in just 1 second's time. But look how close this field is. There's the number 21 machine of Turan going down to the inside of Carthrick Pie in towards turn 1. Anthony Cat there alongside of him. And look at that, they are 3 wide once again.
Yeah, they are 3 wide once again, but the big factor will be the next turn will be turn 3, because the T3 is a very close, as we say, is a very close left-hander, and the turn 4 as well. You need to let the car go, otherwise they're going to lose control of it. And they need to keep control of it and make maximum use of speed on the exit. And now they're coming to back markers, so those Bar and back markers are going to play a big factor into this race.
Yeah, back markers will be really important here, as let's hope they all just hold themselves to the outside line, which is what they're currently doing. But there comes the number 25 machine. That is Anthony Cat looking to try and go all the way to the front then in towards turn 1. Anthony Cat does have himself the race lead, but he's boxed in by a bit of lap traffic.
Yeah, and it's going to be really tough for him because he needs to clear that traffic right away. Otherwise, it's going to be Kurt Crum with the advantage right now. So he got a little bit of a runoff, but Anthony has that backdraft. Let's see what he's going to do with it. He has to back off.
And this lap traffic's really hurting Anthony Cat because Edwards has gone through the high side line. Works better here. Simon Edwards just tries to go down around the middle of the racetrack. Didn't work for him. Cat is still behind this lap traffic. They are almost like a rolling roadblock right now. Look at that picture. You got yourself 15 drivers all in shot here. 4 wide in towards turn 1 again, and that time by Anthony Cat is able to break free of lap traffic.
And Gregsy's just launching himself into the front of the field. He managed to overtake third, now second, and now hunting Anthony Cat for the lead, and he will do it.
As they come down the back straight, that's a fantastic look. 4-5 wide contact.
Contact between Anthony Cat and Gregsy's. But Cat manages to make it out alive onto the back straight, nearly avoiding a big crash, a big and second one, into lap number 7 as we open lap number 8.
I'm not quite sure what we're supposed to be looking at right now. So we're on board of Brian Dewell, on board of him as they come down towards turn 1. This is a mixture of IndyCar at Indianapolis, Talladega at Talladega, NASCAR's at Talladega, and a number of other things all in one go. These guys are absolutely on rails right now, and track position, track placement is going to be such a key factor. There is one driver who is down below the white line. He's moved himself back up. That was, I believe, a lapped car, or was it? No, that was Sanchez, actually. He was down below the white line, and there's another driver below the white line there. I'm not sure if he's trying to get out of the way, or whether he's actually just trying to take a bit of a shortcut, but Sanchez almost caused an incident.
Yeah, Sanchez trying to make all the way in lower part of the field, trying to make an overtake, but just saw that he couldn't make that turn. Backed off a little bit, and the back marker in front of him lost control, went to the apron, nearly caused a big accident, but kept control of the car. But Sanchez lost 5 positions into this race as Anthony Cat is losing another position. If not, that might be Kurt Crum. No, that is not Kurt Crum, but it's very clustered in the front of the field.
Catholic Pie takes the high side, almost gets himself towards the front of the field, but now he's got pressure with the number 327 machine. Lap traffic here is going to be a very interesting thing because we've got a lot of lap traffic who are trying to stay on the lead lap for some reason. The number 327 machine is one of them right now, so he's being taken on board with Catholic Pie. But one thing I will say here, Lorenzo, is it's very, very close out front with Felipe Leber and Miguel Garcia Sanchez going side by side into one.
Yeah, Leber making sure that he actually claws up in the field 5 positions in from the start of the race. So he's actually in 5th, trying to fight right now with Catholic Pie with that 5th spot. As we have someone already with a broken engine, that's Simon Edwards in the pits doing his service, try to undo the damage he had on the engine, as Silla Labor holds up there for the time being.
Yeah, let's try and get ourselves a replay, shall we, from the rear of Simon Edwards. So he's out and away, actually. This is just him coming back onto the racetrack. So we're going to skip away from that one and go on board with the driver of Brian Dewell right now. He is currently running in 4th place on track. And this is what I mean. It's all about threading the needle here, Lorenzo. And that's exactly what Brian Dewell's going to try and do. Thread the needle on the outside of turn number 2. But now he's boxed in by that number 74 car of Greg Seitz and the number 25 of Anthony Katz.
Yeah, and Kurt Crum was actually trying to thread the needle between Anthony Cat and the back marker right in front of him. Actually that was Greg Seitz. He was trying to thread the needle, but just couldn't do it. Now Kurt Crum losing positions as Greg Seitz right now with Anthony Cat battling for the lead right now, 3/4 away for Greg Seitz. He's going to take 1st place for the time.
Yeah, as we just have a look then, as these drivers will exit themselves towards turn number 1 again. Look at that, 3 wide down for P number 2, 3, and 4 as we go through turn number 1 and 2. Look how close it is, actually. Number 74 machine, Greg Seitz, looking to the outside of the driver of Anthony Cat. Will he get that position made? The answer is going to be yes, he will do. However, hello inside line as they come in towards turn number 3 and 4. Seitz tries to close the door as a lot of drivers that are having to back off.
Yeah, and Anthony Cat had a little bit of a little touch with Greg Seitz, just grazing the tires off the 74 driver. But no big damage happened in the middle of that pack. It's funny, if Jordi Lopez Jr. was involved in that crash, he would probably have been fighting for the lead. He's stuck here along with the leaders of this race.
Yeah, top 8.
Yeah, top 8.
Look at that bottom of your screen right now, separated by about 0.3 of a second. That is how close it is right now between these drivers. Look at that. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide again. In towards turn number 3. Oh, trouble. This is the big one. This is the big one.
Yeah, big one. As Anthony Cat actually tried to go into the inside on turn 3. Got Jordi Lopez Jr. on the wheel. Just couldn't back down and took... I'm trying to see, that's Felipe Leber involved with them.
And that's going to be huge for Felipe Leber's championship. Here's a replay on board of Anthony Cat.
Hey, you can see that Anthony Cat just tried to dive on the inside, try to keep control of the inside line. Just couldn't hold up in time and took 3 other drivers with him as a consequence. So the battle for the lead is still wide open, as you can see 4 wide into turn 3 right now as Curry Chrome, Kartik Pai, Greg Seeds are battling for the lead.
Yeah, on board again with Philippe Labeur. So let's have a look at. He tries to go to the ultra high side. This is going to end up being his undoing here, because on the banking, of course, the drivers will go up, and Labeur, from no issue of his own, gets taken out of this event. Labeur was bold to try and take the outside line, but couldn't do anything about it, as it's Enzo Cantor right now fighting it out with Kurt Crum. This is for your race lead. We go on board with Enzo Cantor. He is now technically ahead on the exit of turn number 2 as they sweep themselves now down on towards the back straightaway. Car coming out on pit road as well. That is the number 2 car, and that's a little bit dirty there, but a 144 car going below the white line again.
Yeah, but you can see that Kurt Crum actually had no choice but overtake it. That's actually Philippe Labeur coming out of the pits. Enzo Cantor just boxed him into the inside lane, and Kurt Crum, no other choice. I have to go to the inside if I want to make it overtake. And look at Cantor again, big crash again.
It's on the front straightaway. Enzo Cantor upside down and around. We caught it live. Let's get ourselves another look.
Oh no, Cantor.
That was on the front straightaway. Here's a look. Oh, that wasn't even Cantor that was involved in that one. That was another car even. And Cantor just was the unfortunate bystander. We can't see the actual car for that. I believe that... I can't even see who that is. But yeah, that's Enzo Cantor just spinning that car, spearing it to the right-hand side. Enzo Cantor out.
And Greg Seeds with the damaged car lost the rear wing. You can see the back damage on the car, very noticeable. And he's going to be out of this race as well. He's not, I mean, not out of this race in terms of racing. He's going to be able to repair his car, but in contention, he's out.
Yeah, it's lap number 17 of 65 here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Back with more after this as we take your RaceSpot TV side by side.
3, 2, 1.
Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulated test driver.
So it's 1.4 behind.
This opportunity is huge.
That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Let's go race.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are still doing 2, 3, 4 wide action here at Twin Ring Motegi. Lorenzo, just as we came back from commercial, you were saying that these guys are very likely to have another big crash here tonight.
Yeah, because you can see lines made from the leaders and going to the turns. So it's very similar to what IndyCar driver does. If you look at Indianapolis, they basically are shutting the corners of each other for the driver that he's battling with. But you can see moves in if there are netcode, if the netcode actually gives them a little wiggle, there will be a big crash inbound because they are so close, nearly wheel to wheel with another driver. So as I said, they are right now clean, but they're asking because they're making so many close moves for a big crash.
Yeah, let's have a look at the movers in this event so far this evening, because up 19 places is Justin Tipton. He runs in 3rd place right now. Sebastian Schulz is up 16 places. Arian De Freitas, let's give him a bit of credit. He's up 25 spots right now. And Edwin Valerino up 19 positions as well in P number 11. So there are some big movers. However, at the same time, there are some big losers as well. Look at that. Anthony Catt from pole position, now down into P number 25. As we got just as bad as we go down to the final stage of our standings right now. Simon Edwards down 21 positions. Jordi Lopez Jr. down 21. Jack Hobbs down 33 positions here, Lorenzo.
Yeah, and if we are also go a little bit deeper and look into the top 3, actually I'm going to go a little bit more deeper than that. I'm going to go into the top 5. We are to look at Jacob Lopez, he's out of the race. Philip Labor, he's in 18th. If we look to Brian Lockwood, let me just find Lockwood. He's actually the better one. He's in 5th place, so he's within that battling field. So he's doing pretty good thus far. And also, if we're to look at Andrew Picario, Andrew got involved. He's in 21, and Justin Tipton, he's actually, as I said, crawled up really well into the field, into the 3rd spot right now.
You said earlier this will be a 2-stop race. We've got drivers on pit road already. Sebastian Schultz.
Another small crash.
Oh, where is it?
Turn 3 with Miguel Garcia Sanchez and Kartik Pai, if I'm not mistaken, as Kartik Pai goes into the pits.
Well, let's have ourselves another look at that. As yeah, there's a lot of drivers all on towards pit road. Actually, let's get our attention with that one for the time being, because Lockwood is on pit road right now, and you said it's going to be a 2-stop race, Lorenzo. You were right.
Yeah, basically, this would be a 2-stop race since there are no wild yellow flags, as Lockwood actually overlaps his pit box, so he's gonna lose at least 0.4 of a second on his pit stop. But as I said, there's gonna be at least 2 pit stops if we want to make to the end of this race.
Yeah, as here comes then your leaders coming out of pit road. Let's have a look. Oh, Lockwood gets overtaken by Kurt Crum and Justin Tipton. Tipton and Crum gets ahead of Lockwood. Tran then 4th place in line, and Miguel Garcia Sanchez, he loses a bit more. He loses 3 positions there, and that was all coming on towards pit road. Sanchez there, a very poor pit stop.
Yeah, for a very poor pit stop by Lockwood. Yes, said he overshot his pit stop, lost a little bit of time. Some other drivers didn't do a good pit stop as well, and Lucas in the lead, Mr. Vincent.
It is Johnny Gindy who is leading the way with a 5.8, but he's back on pit road for a 2nd time there. So maybe he didn't take fuel because it's only a 5.8 second pit stop. Johnny Gindy, 2nd pit stop there. That is disastrous for him.
Yeah, he's going to lose a lot of spots, maybe lose a 2nd. We remember these cars are not fast, but the pit stop is going to take him quite a while. But if I was him when he crashed, I would have put a little bit of fuel so he didn't lose a lot of time, like he will do it right now.
15 seconds on the gun. Johnny Gindy all the way back down to 23rd place for him. That means Sebastian Schultz will take over the lead of this motor race. Or actually, no, it will be Daniel Muth for the time being as Johnny Gindy comes out of pit road. There is your battle for the race lead. They are going to be 3 wide as they head themselves out of corner number 4. Arian De Freitas looking as though he's in that battle, but you've also got Justin Tipton. He's right at the rear of this one. He's going to look himself on the outside line as they come down in towards towards turn number 1 again. You got the Freighter, then you got Move, you got Schultz. They are going to be side by side by side through turn number 1. And Arian the Freighter is one of those drivers that would like to try and lead this one from the front. Justin Tipton, 2 wheels below that white line through turn number 2. That's really just to help that car turn a little bit.
Yeah, that's how the car turns. This skipping for, since it doesn't have a lot of speed compared to an Indy car, it will be very glued to the apron off the track as Justin Tipton has to back off, but he's going to have a good run on the inside part of this track. 2 wheels on the apron again. He's going to overtake both the Freighter and also Muth. And he's now hunting Schultz for the lead as here comes Daniel Muth again.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 wide in towards turn number 1. And it's going to be the number 21 Machina Turan is to the front of the field here. And he's the driver. Every time we go to an oval in the 2K World Cup, he's always a driver that you got to say has a chance of winning. He's leading once again here.
Yeah, Tuan Tran is one of the drivers that is actually a sleeper. He's a very good driver on the road, but only ovals, that's where he shines. He actually have good pace and good, clean driving as Tuan Tran right now is gonna battle again Justin Tipton for the lead as we have a driver on the inside. That's Brian Lockwood trying to once again overtake Tuan Tran, and he's gonna do it, and he comes again against Justin Tipton into turn 1 and Daniel Muth, that's Kurt Crum on his left side.
Well, here's an interesting stat that's worth noting, is that Kurt Crum has himself an A license, a 3.92 A license. Second place, Brian Lockwood, a C-class license. Then Daniel Muth even, and Justin Tipton, they both have rookie oval licenses, Lorenzo. So they do not take part in many, if any, of iRacing's official oval series stuff. However, they still know how to drive around an oval track.
Yeah, they still know how to drive around the track and oval tracks. They have that awareness, spatial awareness that on the skips I think is one of the best series to develop your spatial awareness because you're driving so close to another driver most of the race. So being that transferred to ovals, it's not impressive to be quite honest. It's impressive how good they are in terms of being aware of where the driver is and avoiding those crashes.
And I will say one thing as well, for a lot of people that think that oval racing is easier compared to road course racing, there are big differences. And I was a specialist, Lorenzo, at Michigan when I used to be an IndyCar driver on the iRacing service. And the thing is, it's all about centimeters or inches, call it what you will, because it's not a case of you just driving around in what they call an oval. It's more of a case of how do you make an overtake work. A track like Michigan, for example, the best way to overtake a driver is always used to be on the outside, holding lanes number 2 and 3. The same applies here at 21 Motegi. Holding the inside line is not the fastest way around the racetrack. You get pinned down there, that can actually really harm your momentum.
Yeah, they can really harm your momentum. Well, I'm not the biggest oval specialist, I'm more of a road guy, but I know a little bit because of my friends that know a little bit about ovals that you can, for here Motegi, you need to have the best line, if I'm not mistaken, is the inside line going to the outside, but we know that Motegi, I think of all tracks in terms of ovals, is one that uses the most tires of any other ovals. It's very consuming, so you're probably going to have that line optimally for at least, I would say, 10 to 12 laps. Then everything just needs to be on tire savings and avoiding the tire gets overheated, because that final turn 3 and 4, since it's much more narrow in terms of banking and other stuff, takes a lot of beating on the car, especially in the Indy car ones.
Well, there's a look on board of Justin Tipton. What he's doing is what we call the diamonding off of the corner. Going high into the corner, then bring it all the way down to the apex, and then drift up again. Justin Tipton is currently 1 second behind your overall race leader. That is currently still Sebastian Schultz, as behind Turan is still involved in a battle with Kurt Krum, as they are still 3 wide to head themselves through turn number 1 and 2 once again. And this track, in many ways, in terms of Skip Barber compared to IndyCar, it is a little bit like Michigan, through turn number 1 and 2 at least. However, you have got to lift off the gas in turn number 3 and 4. I'm going to see this on the speedometer right now with Karthik Pai. He's now down to P number 11. Note the fact that the speedometer will go up to about 200 kilometers an hour. And then let's have a look at it as it comes down in towards turn number 3 and 4. From 206 kilometers an hour all the way down to 169 kilometers an hour. That's a big loss there, Lorenzo. And if Skip Barber, you know, a mile an hour gained in the center of a corner can be a lot on corner exit.
Yeah, because these cars have so much pace compared to any other small engine cars, so you need to at least have a 2-kilometer edge so you can launch yourself on the exit of the turn with a bigger upside to your opponent, so you can have the better run. As we can see now, Karthik Pai trying to battle. I think that's Rob Adams in front of him, trying to work the draft. He's going to work the draft into the back stretch. Make sure he has a good entry into turn 3 and onto turn 4. Maximize his exit so he can catch the draft once again, slingshot himself into turn 1 and make the overtake.
Yeah, we're on board. On board with Turan right now. He is currently in P number 5. Let's give you a little bit of Racewatch TV fan immersion as we go 360 cam with Turan. That is how you get to lead the motor race if you are the driver of Turan. And that was almost textbook there, Lorenzo. How he got himself to the front of the field in that TT racing machine as we use the Racewatch TV 360 camera brought to you by DES Simulation.
Yeah, that's textbook oval racing with Turan, making good use of the entry into turn 3 and maximize the exit at turn 4. As I said before, now Daniel Muth going a little bit of a dive on the inside as Turan needs to hold the line. I think there's a driver on the upper side of him, but I think that's not someone battling for the lead as Arjun de Vrede comes into the pits.
Yep, so second pit stops then starting early. Arjen de Vrede coming on towards pit road. They can make it, of course, from here on in. Arjen de Vrede making that journey on towards pit road. And well, for him, this is now a case of how quick can you make this second pit stop. It's going to be 12.2 seconds out and away. Driver coming on towards pit road as he tries to get out of his pit stall. And well, for De Freitas, that was a lucky escape.
And that was a really lucky escape. Oh, that was a really lucky escape for De Freitas, because that could have been much worse for the Dutch driver. But he makes it out alive, and it's a really interesting thing for De Freitas. I think he wasn't a long stint. He wasn't a 15 lap stint.
He was.
So really curious strategy from the Dutch driver. Let's see if that pays off to him. 25 laps to go.
Daniel Muth apparently leads away, but Sebastian Schultz then looking down to the inside, and it looks as though actually Daniel Muth even will have himself the lead as they come out of corner number 2. We're on board of him right now in that number 307 car, but he's got Tran Tran and Sebastian Schultz. They are both going to try and get past him in towards turn number 3. Lap traffic coming into play as well in towards turn number 3, and Muth loses the position, gains position on the exit of turn number 4. Is anyone coming on towards pit road? Not in your top 8 drivers this time by.
Yeah, I think none of the top 8 will make the stop. They will save. They use the full fuel and then make it. Probably they're gonna put lesser fuel than usual. I'm really interested to see how much fuel they are going to put for the final laps. I think they're going to come with at least 50-51 laps into this race, maybe less. I'm not completely sure. I just want to see where they will pit stop, because the stint window they had was around 25 to 26 laps. They are around 16 to 18 laps on their stints. So I believe the lap 50 will be the pit stop trying to go again. That's Sebastian Schultz with the big slide on the upper side off turn 3 and 4, losing a lot of positions.
Yes, as we're having a look then down towards the start-finish line, Tran second place, and it is Kurt Krum who was leading the way in towards turn number 1, but look at this slide job down to the inside. That's going to be Daniel Muth going back to the race lead.
Yeah, Tran trying to maximize the entry on turn 1. Krum not having any of it, didn't leave any room to Tran to try to make that a maximum optimization into turn 1 and 2, allowed Daniel Muth to slide into turn 1, and now Justin Tipton takes away the lead from them as he has a big slide into turn 3, losing a lot of speed, 166 kilometers per hour, and he's going to lose lead once again to Daniel Muth, and probably second place to Mr. Kurt Krum.
Fahim Atanadas is 11 seconds right now.
Into the pits.
Yeah, so we've got drivers on towards pit road as that is Tran. Fahim Atanadas is 11 seconds right now behind your race leaders. However, Lorenzo, he has basically worked himself back up into this motor race. He is currently in P number 7. Of course, pit stops are going to come into play here. But Fahim is a man on a mission right now in the number 130 Frostmaster Movano Racing Team car.
Yeah, Fahim is on a mission right now, coming from 37th place. Had a little bit of an issue on the start of the race with those big ones, but managed to work himself around, nearly touching with Borja Zazo, as Borja with the big slide in front of him, so he might have the chance to go back into the lead. Oh, he will have the chance to go back into the lead as Borja is struggling with the exit as he goes back into 8th spot once again, 7 actually once again. But he's on a 21 laps, then very close with the leaders of this race. So he has a long shot, but he's still in this contention, Will.
He is, as Rob Adams, however, is on pit road. And it's a long pit stop there for Rob Adams. It looks as though this could be semi-terminal. He's out and away in 13.1 seconds. Adams, number 99 car. That's not a good pit stop for him.
Yeah, that's not a good pit stop for him. Actually had a very poor entry and not the best of the exits from the pit road, and as the pit road over here is quite long because it's a long straight, but he's probably going to be a lap down. He's going to take a look on the next stop. He's actually going to be a lap down as probably the leaders will come back. He will be a lap down for sure as the leaders just overlap him.
Yeah, they do so, and that is Brian Lockwood, who's got pass already, as has Daniel Muth and Justin Tipton, Kurt Krum, Sebastian Schultz, as they work themselves down the back straightaway once again. It's very close right now between Lockwood and Muth as they come down in towards 3 and 4 one more time. 46 of 65 lap score complete. We've got now less than 20 laps to go at the line, and all of a sudden it's down into semi-sprint range, but we do think these drivers might have one more pit stop.
Yeah, they will have to make the pit stop at least. Those ones, the top 9 will have to make a pit stop because Johnny Winning is in 9th place. He will have to make a splash and dash if he wants to make it out into this race. He's gonna lose time, a lot of time as well. Even though he's actually 2 or 3 laps less than the leaders, you still have to make a pit stop. So lap 50 will be the range, maybe a little bit less, 2-3 laps, but really interesting developments into this race as De Vrede comes into 11th place. At least he knows he's gonna make it to the end of the race safely.
We're going to take a quick break. Back for more after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've got drivers on pit road then from your race lead. Kurt Crowe and Brian Lockwood on pit road here, Lorenzo.
Yeah, Brian Lockwood coming in first into the pits with an outstanding move against Kurt Crowe. Kurt actually dived into the apron first, and Brian took a little bit of advantage into the exit of turn 4 to maximize the exit and into the pit road itself. Gain a little bit of time, but Kurt Crowe actually have kind of an up and over on Brian Lockwood's car as he overtakes him on the exit of pit road.
He does. Brian Lockwood loses 2 positions overall. I'll tell you one thing. One driver worth paying attention to is this one. Maria Garcia Sanchez on pit road for the second time here today. He's been a bit of a sleeper here today, Lorenzo, but he can still, in theory, get a good result.
Yeah, he's still, in theory, can get a good result. He's been doing really good this race, having done a lot of moves, keeping in touch with the leaders. Need to see if his pit stop is going to be good enough for him to actually launch himself into the exit off the turn 2 and make sure he actually is within touch for the leads, as this has become a sprint race.
Edwin Valerino also on pit road this time by. He's going to come out about in 10th position. Here comes Garcia Sanchez, however. He's not going to be close enough for the race lead. However, that gap is going to be about 6 seconds, I would argue, as he comes back out onto the racetrack here. He's got a driver right behind him as well. That is for Matanides, I believe, who's coming out right behind him. But for Garcia Sanchez, not a bad run here today. So let's actually check in with Fahim Matanides. He's actually just heading himself now on the back straightaway towards turn number 3. Fahim has had a miserable weekend.
And Fahim had one of the worst weekends he could actually think of. Not having a good result into the first race, exiting on the first race, and now having his race damaged on the very beginning of the race, now battling with Steve Ficacci as Ficacci goes into the inside of Fahim, overtakes Fahim for a nice spot with 13 laps to go into this race.
Yeah, as he on board with Fahim, as he's got himself Ficacci just ahead of him as they work themselves through turn number 1 and 2 once again. But at the front of your field right now is Ariane de Freitas and Tran Turan. Now, the interesting question is, can they make it to the end? I would argue no here in this one. Neither of these two drivers can make it to the end of this event with 13 laps to go here, Lorenzo, because, well, last time they went past the start or finish line, Tran Turan did 10 laps in a stint. Ariane de Freitas, 15 laps in a stint. De Freitas will be the first on towards pit road.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very test of fuel save for the Breda, because he did 25 laps. Actually did less than that. He did 13 laps on his stint to make sure he had 25 laps of fuel for the final stint. So he's gonna have to save at least a lap or 2 in terms of fuel, relatively. But Tran Turan, I think he's in a safe spot. He's in a safer spot compared to the Dutch driver. He can do a 24, 25 laps then without any problems. I think Tran Turan is actually in a good spot to win this race.
Yeah, as we look on board then with that battle between Ariane de Freitas and Tran Turan right now, the 924 machine is just ahead of them. That number 924 car, well, it is scored a lap down, but that's not going to be an issue there if you're Tran Turan. Tran is going to get himself back to the front of this field. The issue is, though, if you are Tran Turan, are you not thinking about saving a little bit of fuel here, Lorenzo?
I believe not. I think Twan did, I think, a very proper pit stop, because as we saw, the pit leaders did 24 lap stints, 20 lap stints on the previous window. So if Twan keeps on the back bumper of the Vreda and works the draft once and occasionally, I think he's gonna be in a good spot. He can save at least a lap of fuel. Not gonna be in a very dangerous range. So I think the most risk of losing the race is the Vreda compared to Tron.
A little bit further down the field, here's a look on board with Steve Ficacci in the number 193 car, because he's got himself Borges Arzo, Fahim Matanides and Philippe Leber all there in the mix. And this is basically now the race of the drivers looking to get something back here in this event, Lorenzo. And Fahim, well, he's got Philippe Leber just ahead of him, but these drivers are mighty, mighty close.
Yeah, they are mighty, mighty close. That could have been a battle for the lead at the very start of the race, but that didn't happen. So right now we can see a very good battle, at least 5 cars, as Fahim goes into the outside of Leber to try to overtake Leber for P8, and he does it as comes Borja into turn 1 on the inside of Leber. Leber needs to be mindful of that. Let's see who's gonna have the battle run into turn 2. Really big battle over here with 10 laps to go.
Yeah, we are down into the back end of this motor race right now. Let's go back to Kurt Grum, because he's alongside right now the driver of Daniel Muth, as they go side by side in towards turn number 1. And hello, with number 1 machine, Brian Lockwood, trying to go down to the middle of that one. He threads the needle, and I think that Florida driver will get himself up into P number 3 here.
Yeah, Lockwood working in the draft, watching himself slingshotting into the lead. But here's an important thing, Will. Here's a very important thing. Look at the gap between De Vrede and Twan, to Kurt Crum, Brian Lockwood, Muth, and Justin Tipton. Actually, scratch Justin Tipton, to Crum, Lockwood, and Muth is going down quickly. So we're gonna have probably a 5-man battle for the win into this race. Keep yourself watch yourself for the next few laps. They are going to be important.
It will all depend on what will happen over the next couple of laps here, as here is the gap between Kurt Crum and Ariane De Freitas. Turan actually moves himself down into second place. So it's all going on in your top 3 right now, because here's Ariane De Freitas. He is leading the race, but we still don't know here, Lorenzo, if he's got enough fuel to go to the end.
Yeah, on the chat says he might have fuel for the end of this race. I can see maybe a 50-50. Let's see. It's gonna be a very interesting development into this race. We got 59 laps completed out of 65. We're gonna open lap 60 right now as the pack is closing the gap quickly. They are furious, fast and furious upon those two in front of them.
Yeah, as Ariane De Freitas will lead the way then with 6 laps to go here at Twin Ring Motegi. As we said earlier, don't forget the week can be rounded off here by having yourself Monday Night Skippies here on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on the iRacing Esports Network. Drivers like Fahim Atanides are just a few here. We got the likes of many drivers who have cut their teeth, and of course they get themselves ready for the World Cup of iRacing. And Club UK and Ireland, they kick up a gear in this season. Catch it live on RaceSpot TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. So Turan, he leads away. I called him a sleeper earlier on here, and he still leads away with 5 laps to go. The gap is minuscule right now to Daniel Muth, but we got ourselves a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 car breakaway in this field.
Yeah, and there's a back marker in Enzo Kenta in the middle of them, and Enzo actually is kind of racing with them. He's not giving any edge. He's sticking with that pack, finding in the lanes. As oh, there will be a touch. There is a touch between Kenta and Crum. Nearly worse for Kenta. He had a little bit of a spin into turn 3, went to the apron, saved this car. Now back into the track. Daniel Muth had to disengage the accelerator. Naturally had to disengage anyway, but lost a lot of time compared to the drivers in front of him. He has to make up time.
Oh, God, turn around. That's Sanchez. Sanchez had a big issue there, down at turn number 3 and 4.
Wow, let's see what happened to Sanchez.
Replay is up on your screen right now. This is down in towards turn number 3. The back end of that car starts to step out. He goes down to the low side. And yeah, he just takes too much there of that, basically, pit entry. And he takes out another driver alongside of him as well. Sanchez, that was not a good corner by him at all. Here we are. He comes down in towards turn number 3 and 4. Loose slows the car down. But the thing is, he slows it down right in the middle of the apex right there, and he takes out another driver.
Yeah, I think Rob Adams. I think that's Rob Adams. Got a little bit spooked with the spin and lost his basing and went into the inside of turn 1. And if we go back to the lead, not many laps to go, and now everything just got hectic as the three-man pack catches up to the lead. And well, all hell is going to break loose right now. Who's going to gun for the win? We got 2 laps to go into the next corner. Everything is going to be crazy now. Fasten your seatbelts.
Well, your drivers are Turan, Ariane De Freitas, Kurt Crum, Brian Lockwood, as 4 drivers are battling for your race lead right now. There is lap traffic that might come into play in this one as well. But I will say, Kurt Crum knows how to hold that inside line. He's done so well over the last couple of laps.
And he has done really well, as now he actually loses a little bit of speed onto the upper side, onto the high side of turn 2. Allows Lockwood to pass. There's Kenta on the most inner bottom side. And now he's going to try to maximize on turn 3 and 4 for the good exit and try to slingshot himself into the final lap.
This time by one more lap to go. Kurt Krum is going to have to play the offensive here because he's down in P number 4. It's Turan who is leading over Arjen de Freitas as they come down in towards turn number 1 for the final time here today. Turan has the inside line, and it's going to be Arjen de Freitas on the outside. You got Brian Lockwood there in the mix and Kurt Krum as well. Look at that one though. The number 1 machine, Brian Lockwood, trying to go to the outside on the exit of turn number 2. Cannot do so yet, but now gets himself the advantage on the exit of turn number 2. He looks and drums himself down to the outside. He's out. He's actually out of this one unless he can get this one working. And he's going to make contact. He's going to make contact there with Arjen de Freitas. This is going to be Turan's race on the exit of the final corner. Turan, number 21 machine, will win here at Twin Ring Motegi.
Wow.
And that all came down to what we saw between Brian Lockwood and Arjen de Freitas.
Yeah, and you can see Brian Lockwood try to go into the high line, maximize, go wide into the entry of turn 3 and maximize the exit, try to get as much speed as he can on the exit of turn 4. Try to go all the way into the inside, but there was an Arjen de Freitas right in front of him. There he's nothing he can do. He just went naturally wide, tried to do the same thing, trying to maximize the exit, but got caught up in the middle of Lockwood's car and all went down into turn 4, and that allows Kurt Krum just to sneak by them and catch that second spot. What a finish, bro. What a finish.
Yeah, there's Brian Lockwood there and Arjen de Freitas coming together down at turn number 3 and 4. Well, we were worried at some point of this race about this being a quote-unquote boring broadcast. It wasn't at the end. Brian Lockwood, he falls down the timing and scoring screens as a consequence a little bit. But I actually want to have a look on board of Brian Lockwood for a moment. Here we are, on board of him. He makes that contact. There's Arjen de Freitas ahead of him. Brian Lockwood moves to the high side, but it's Turan. He had himself a perfect final lap here today. Turan, we often say, is the master of the ovals. We look at the onboard of him again. There's the number 27 machine. That is Arjen de Freitas. There is the number 1 car, Brian Lockwood. And as soon as those two drivers hit, it was Turan's race to win there. And Lorenzo Turan, he held on.
He held on into the very final lap. High pressure to Turan. He managed to hold this lead for 2-3 laps in a row without losing any margin whatsoever. That shows how good Turan is into these ovals. And well, for championship standings will be a very interesting development, but Turan is gonna get some spots up most definitely, because that win is gonna do him wonders into the rest of the championship.
And what we said before, Turan on oval course, he is always a participant. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back with race results after these messages.
3, 2, 1.
Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulator test driver.
So it's 1.4 behind.
This opportunity is huge.
That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Let's go race.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing. Welcome to post-race coverage then from the 2K World Cup, presented by DES Simulation, and well, Turan wins his first oval race here in the 2K World Cup. And Turan, we've often talked about you being an oval specialist because we often see you do so well, but this is your first oval win in the 2K World Cup.
Yeah, that's right. It's just amazing. I really didn't expect it. Oh, it's actually very lucky that I got the win. Everybody could win in the oval race, so.
Talk us through that race, because at most points it was pandemonium, 5, 6 wide in towards turn number 1. It's more of a case of finding the lane at a highway at 130 miles an hour rather than actually racing.
Yeah, that's right. Basically at the oval you just have to be clean and stay alive. Get all to the carnage, you know. That's all what I did, and just wanted to escape the pack by pitting a little bit earlier, so I get in front again. Not too much traffic, so that went pretty well.
You got yourself the race victory here today. What's been a very interesting weekend, of course, the double header here at Twin Room Motegi. How does that help you in terms of the championship?
Honestly, I don't really fight for the championship because all those races I did before weren't so well, so we'll see how it goes.
And your first oval win in the 2K World Cup, you don't want to give a shout out to?
I just want to give a shout out to TT Racing and Philip for putting out this league, and you guys for broadcasting it.
Well, that is, ladies and gentlemen, Turan, your winner on the oval here today. I'm going to hand it over to Lorenzo, and he stood by with second place, not second place because you haven't got Kurt Crumb. Let's try third place driver, Brian Lockwood. He is down in third place, stood by with Lorenzo.
So I got Brian Lockwood over here, third place of this oval. And also Brian is third in the standings. So Brian, well, good third place, but you were trying to gun for more into that final lap. Tell us what happened. What did you try to do? And I saw you getting locked up with Adion. Talk us through that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was definitely going for the win there. I had a really great run on the lead two, going into the final turn 3 and 4. And I thought I had the setup. I really thought I could win it on the exit of that corner, but unfortunately Arjan just drifted up into me, and we made a little bit of contact that relegated us down to 3rd and 4th. It also let Kurt slip through on the inside.
And you didn't have a really good race. First race, you had a little bit of an incident, but managed to come back through the field. Had the 15th spot, which allowed you to be in the fifth place on the reverse grid for this race. In terms of standings in the championship overall, what do you think these two races will do to you in terms of points?
Well, you know, I don't think it's going to do all that much, unfortunately. If I had done better in the first race, it might have had more of an effect. But you know, the first race, as he said, it was going swimmingly for me. I was up in a 4th place in a great position until something happened with Fahim, and he kind of spun into me. So I lost the lead pack. And then on the last lap, I made some contact with Paul, which relegated me way down the field, I think down to 16th. Championship-wise, none of the three front runners, it's me, Philippe, and Ade, had especially good weekends, but I know Ade has used maybe one drop race up to this point, and Philippe also has some maneuvering room. So I think in the end, we're all basically in the same spot that we started.
Well, I have this is Brian Lockwood. Well, Brian, congratulations on the 3rd place. Well, I know you wanted better, but at least you managed to grab 3rd spot into the 2nd race, which will do you good into the championship. Let's see if you can keep it up on the rest of the races. Well, I'm back with Will. I think he got some more people to interview.
Yeah, Fahim Hassaneed has come home 5th place here today. And Fahim, well, it was a tough over race for you here today.
Yeah, the starting position didn't help. I started last in the race and was slowly making my way forwards. But then there was the first incident that happened in front of me. I largely managed to avoid making contact to people, but I had to do some wild maneuvering to avoid people. And of course, the car went into a spin. So I slammed the brakes on and left it there, just stopped dead, waiting for the traffic to stream past me so I can safely get back on. And then I think I might have been last again when I joined. And from then on, I hooked up with Paul Malokas. He was a lap down on me, but I just quickly said to him, look, I don't mind working with you if you want. And we did. So we hauled ourselves up a little bit higher. Came in for my first stop, fuel stop. That was no problem. Came back out and again ran in a pack. Eventually with Philippe as well. And my second stop didn't go too well. I ended up actually with 10 laps of fuel extra when I went over the start-finish line at the end of the race. But I don't think it would have been, even if I had a great stop, I don't think I would have been able to catch 5th. I think I finished 6th, well, not 5th. I wouldn't have been able to catch 5th position. But, you know, yeah, it wasn't a bad race, all things considered. You know, from last to 6th is a good run on an oval.
Well, and of course, the next couple of races you got coming up is Monza and then Bel You are currently outside the top 20 in terms of the championship. Does that just mean now you can be what you do on M&S and just win races?
I'm not really gunning. Well, I'm not in a championship running at all in the 2K Cup race for some reason. I just have. First of all, I need to sort out my fueling issues. And then secondly, I must have some kind of mental block when it comes to the 2K Cup, because I've got no problems running in the officials, and I run with the same guys that run in the 2K Cup, and I'm often on the podium or I'm winning races there. Same with Monday Night Skippies. It's a decent standard. A lot of guys that I'm competing against would be right on the front end of the 2K Cup as well. But when it comes to Sundays, it just doesn't work for me. So I think what I'm going to do is this season, I think there's around 7 or 8 races left, is just shake off the cobwebs, whatever they are, whatever demons they are, and then start focusing on running a decent campaign in the 2K Cup for the following season.
Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is Raheem Athenides coming home then in 6th place here today. We're going to talk to Felipe Barber, we're going to talk to one of the other drivers. So we're going to do rapid fire round here. I'm going to start off the driver, Enzo Cantor. Enzo, how was your race?
Hi, guys. Well, I was completely out of practice this time because my last race, I think it was the last race of the past season. I had a lot of work in this period, so I did the first race only to clear my penalty points. And in the second one, I started from behind, and I survived passing through a couple of disasters over the track. I was careful, and I passed them very cleanly, and then I catched the first train, and surprisingly I catched the first position. Then so I was having a lot of fun, but unfortunately Kurt Kram rear-ended me, and my race finished there. Then I was alone in a no man's land for all the race, but finally, after the pit stops, I was with the first ones, Tuan and Arian, so I was happy because I could have another bit of fun till the end of the race, and I was trying to help them to go away from the followers, but they catched us, and yeah, finally I had a lot of fun this race.
Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the driver of Enzo Cantor. Very quickly, if we haven't talked to him, Johnny Gindi, have we talked to you already?
Nope.
Johnny Gindi.
Waiting for
ERT.
a while.
Yeah, well,
that's
the lag between here and Australia. How's the race been?
Well, the first race was disappointing, which is weird to say, because I won the race, but definitely did not want to win that way. I made a mistake. I hit a die under braking, which I really shouldn't be doing. But yeah, it wasn't ideal that the race ended that way. And then the oval race just reminded me of what happens every time I drive an oval and why I don't really like them. Because at first 2 laps, having a lot of fun. There's cars going 5 wide. You think that's pretty cool. And then inevitably everyone crashes at once and you drive alone for 60 laps. So that's pretty much what happened. So to come home 13th in the oval after getting wrecked on lap 2 wasn't too bad, to be honest, but did not enjoy it at all.
That is Johnny Gindi coming home P number 13 in the oval race. Lorenzo, final thoughts?
Well, very eventful race. Also on the second race, we had battles going 5, 6, 7, not 7 wide, but 5 to 6 cars wide in the front, in the back straight, and well, also some pit strategies going on into the race with Arne de Vrede doing pit stop earlier than the rest of the field, and then getting that the 4th spot into the final lap, Tuan Tran with the master race into most of the race and doing the masterful last lap to hold the lead for the win. For the top 3 in the championship, wasn't the best weekends. I believe they will rebound in the next races into Monza and Belle Isle. So weekend to forget for them, but more racing will come for them most surely, and the good results will come back again.
Yeah, it's a bit of a wait even until we go ourselves over to Monza. That'll be in 3 weeks' time here on the iRacing Esports Network. In the meantime, thank you to Ismail Balal, TrackCam22.com, and One Design for our overlay design, and also to Aptgearing.com for development behind the scenes, and Nick Thiston for RaceWhat TV. Live timing and scoring. That guy has been Lorenzo Bonda. I have been Will Vincent. Good night from this fantastic racetrack that has been Twin Ring Motegi.